Yes, we got it. I think. Can you all see me now and hear me? Because that would be amazing. If you can see and hear me now, then that is incredible. If someone could pop in the chat, if you can hear me, that would be awesome. Cool. Yes, great success. Sorry about that, everybody. Um, how was that? I was like, it's a mindful warm up. So, in order to stay mindful, I'm going to stay really calm while I deal with technical difficulties, which is kind of fun. Yeah. So, hi everybody. Thank you for your patience while we dealt with that. That was brilliant. Today's class is a mindful warm up. Mindful warm up. So, what I would like us to start with is I want us to just take a moment to think of 3 things, and you can write this down, or you can just think it in your head, or you can, yeah, I mean, those are probably the 2 options. Think it or write it. 3 things that you're grateful for about your voice. So it might be a technical thing, or it might be something that you can do with your voice. It might be something that you do with your voice on a day-to-day basis. But I want you to just take a moment to write down 3 things that you're grateful for about your voice. Just take a moment. And while you're taking that moment, I would love you to just breathe slowly. So start to take notice of your breath. Take notice of your breath and see if we can calm it down. If it's feeling tight, is there any tension anywhere? Can we release that? As we think about the 3 things that we're grateful for about our voice. And then we're just going to come back to the breath. And I want you to see if you can feel any tension anywhere. So maybe from technical difficulties, I can feel a little bit of tension in here. So I'm going to want to release that. I'm going to breathe into that. Release it a little bit. Take note, is there any tension up the back of your neck? Can you relax it? Can you put the breath into it? Can you breathe into it? Have you got any tension sitting through here? Are you a tooth grinder? How is your jaw feeling today? Can you release it? Can you let it hang? Can you feel the air as it comes into your body and fills you? What does that feel like for you? Where do you feel expansion in your body as you breathe? And notice again, have you got any tension through your neck? Have you got any tension through your jaw? Have you got any tension in your shoulders? Maybe around the backs of your neck a little bit. Are you able to just let your arms hang? Have you got any tension in your hands? You know, sometimes when we're doing these sort of awareness exercises, people will be standing and they're clenching their fists like this. Can we release that? What does that feel like for you to have that totally released? Have you got any tension in your lower back, in your hips, in your legs, in your feet? Can we release that? Can we put the breath there? And think again about those 3 things that you're grateful for your voice. What I would like us to think about as we carry on with the rest of the warm-up this morning is, what does it feel like to have a voice? That sounds a little bit ethereal. I realize that. I spent quite a bit of time thinking about this over the last week with this class kind of coming up. I was like, what do I want us to focus on? And I want us to focus on the experience of having a voice. What does it feel like to have a voice? Because we quite often, if you see children when they experiment, children experiment and they play with their voices all the time. You know, if they're in a buggy or a pushchair, you push them over like a gravel road, they go la, 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 as they go over the gravel. At some point, the world kind of gets in the way and it stops us from experimenting and playing with our voice in that way. So as we go through the rest of the warm-up this morning, in addition to taking note of, do I have any tension? Occasionally I'll just remind you. Yeah. I want you to think, what does it feel like to have a voice? What does it mean to have a voice? What does it feel like to experience having a voice? That's what we're going to focus on. So to start with, what we're going to do is we're going to, I'll stay you down here. It might be a bit loud actually. Let me just work that down a wee bit. There we go. So we're just going to go on puffy cheeks, which is like, or if you want to, you can hum. You might actually feel the vibrations more if you're humming. So or and as we do this, I want you to stay nice and relaxed. I want you to think about keeping that tension out of your body. What does it feel like to have a voice? What does it feel like to have vibration? So you might want to close your eyes so you can really experience the vibration. We're going to go like this. We're going to go. And as we do that, I want you constantly thinking, what does it feel like to have a voice? Where do I feel these vibrations? Here we go. 3, 4. Where do you feel that vibration? Do you feel it in the front of the face? Do you feel it in your stomach? Do you feel it down your back? Do you feel it in the back of your neck? Do you feel it in your head? Does it shift as you're changing pitch? Is there a movement in the vibrations that you feel? You know, each note has its own little slot that it falls into. What does it feel like to move from one slot to another? How's that tension? Are your shoulders relaxed? Can you still feel that breath coming into your body in between each scale? One more for me. Great. So now what we're going to do, I really want us to zone in on this idea that each note has its own little slot and to experience that movement from one slot to another. Yeah, and what it feels like, how much of a shift do we get as we move the vibrations from one space to another space as we change the pitch. So what we're going to do, we're just going to do some little movements. And you can stay on a if you want to, you can stay humming if you want to, or you can start to open it up if it's feeling more comfortable. You could try it on a we could do it on like a va va va. But as long as you can still feel the vibrations, that's the focus. So if you find it easier to zone in on the vibrations, doing it on like a or a then you can do whatever works for you. Yeah. So it's just small movements. Here we go. 3, 4. And take a second to think about that. What did it feel like to make that small movement from one note to another? Let's do it again. 3, 4. What about if we do it here? Did that feel different to the one before? How so? Do the vibrations move from here? What does that feel like for you? I had a little bit more vibrato come in there. Maybe you experienced something similar. Maybe you didn't. It's all good. And here. Whatever sound makes it easier for you to feel it. You can experiment with different sounds and see how it changes things. Ba, ba, ba. Does it shift it for you? And how did you notice the difference as we moved it up in those semitone increments as we're changing the keys? How does that shift? So if we've gone and we go, we're doing that da-da movement as well. What does that feel like? Do it again and keep experimenting with different sounds. Yeah, find the one that works for you. What feels most of an experience, right? So treat this as an experience of your voice. What remember the question, what does it mean? What does it feel like to have a voice? Let's do it again. 3, 4. Great. And we're going to do some sustains. So again, you can do this on whatever sound you want. I find the semi-occluded sounds to be really useful for the vibration work, but you can do it on whatever you want to do. What does it feel like to sustain the note? So we're going to go, we'll go. So I'm just doing the puffy cheeks, woo, which is like if you've done straw work, it's like doing it through a straw, except for there's no straw. Yeah. So you're blowing air whilst your cheeks are expanded. Woo. And it's a little bit of a dopey sound underneath it as well, just to keep things nice and rested. So the question is, what does it feel like to sustain? What does it feel like to sustain? And how lightly can you do the sustain and still have it actually hold the patch without you having to squeeze or press in to sustain it? Yeah, so how lightly can we do that? And what does it feel like to sustain? 3, 4. And how does it shift as we move the pitch? Can you still keep it light as we go higher? Then taking the exact same approach, so keeping it nice and light. Yeah, nice and light. We're going to take it up. And like really almost the challenge here is how quietly can you keep it? How quietly can you keep it and then keep the connection? We're going to go, I'm going to do this on a thumb. It's the same thing. I'm just going to use my thumb. But I'm still blowing like puffy cheeks. But I'm just going to use my thumb for it. So we're now sustaining that top note. I'm using the back pressure of my thumb just to give myself, it's like a little massage. Feels kind of nice. Still thinking, what does it feel like to have a voice? How lightly can I keep it? So take it up. 3, 4. Right, now we're starting to get a bit of a stretch on the chords, which is lovely. So I'm going to open this up a little bit more and give you more of the warm-up side than the mindfulness side, just for a second, just so you can feel like you've actually used your voice a little bit today. You haven't tried the thumb before? Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to try these different things. I find the thumb quite useful because sometimes with the sometimes we want to like push maybe a little too much air, or it's just a little more restrictive. So all of these semi-occluded sounds, so whether it's like a or a or whatever, they've all got, or a straw, different size straws, they've all got different levels of resistance. So depending on you and the condition of your voice on the day, right? Because it changes because we're humans, yeah, which is also a nice mindfulness thing to kind of keep in mind. We need different levels of resistance depending on how the voice is functioning. So playing around with all these different sounds can be a really nice way to try and find out what works well for your voice on the day. And I would really encourage you, especially if you're doing, like online warm-ups and things like that, where the teacher can't, like, I can't hear you, I can't hear what you're doing, right? So I can't hear what's working for you, what's not working for you. All I can do is make suggestions of things that could possibly maybe potentially be helpful, but without hearing your voices, it's very difficult for me to actually give you an exercise that's specifically for you, going to put you into the right place. So as a singer, when you're approaching your workouts, whether it's a live workout or if it's a something that you're watching, wherever, whatever, approach all of the exercises from a perspective of, what is this doing for me? How does this feel for me? And if we try and approach it from a perspective of effortless singing, especially when we're warming up, right? Effortlessness does not mean that you're not committed to the sound, right? But from a perspective of like, how easily can I produce the sound, is maybe a better way to look at it. You say effortless and people think, oh, I'm just gonna be lazy. But it's not so much about that. It's just how comfortable and how easily can I produce the sound. Yeah. And if we go from a perspective of the easier the better, then that's a really healthy place to approach our relationship with our voice, right? It's such a sweet little delicate thing, and we expect it to do so much. So it's nice for us to be sweet and delicate back to it sometimes. Okay, sorry, I went on a tangent. I do that sometimes. I'm on a tangent. So your choice of semi-occluded vocal tract exercise. So you might want to do like a, or you might want to do like a tongue trill, if you can tongue trill, or you might want to stay on the thumb, or you might even want to open it up to something that's got even less resistance, something like a or zzz, whatever works for you. You might even want to try it on different scales as we go higher and see what is working better for you today. Yeah. That's another way you can approach mindfulness and practice. So it's just basically like think about what you're doing. It seems really obvious when I say it like that, but yeah. So we're going to go up on I'm going to do it on a lip trill. So that's the scale. I'm sure you guys will have heard this before in some of the other classes. If not, I do apologize. Just try and get the general movement, and then you can learn the scale afterwards. So yeah, on your choice of semi-occluded vocal tract exercise, let's see if we can get a bit more stretch on the chords, and just ask yourself, how does my voice feel today as we move up through this? So 2, 3, 4. And as you're going up, just take note. How's that tension? How's your shoulders? How's your neck? How's your stomach? Is it tight? Can we relax it? Have you got more voice than air coming through on your semi-occluded? You know, sometimes people go, but we really want to hear the voice coming through. And as we start to come back down, ask yourself, am I landing back into chest, or am I coming back a little bit light? Can I land back a little more solid? What does that feel like? What does that stretch feel like for you as you're working it through? So you can run through a scale like that on different semi-occluded vocal tract exercises and just kind of see which ones work for you. I keep saying semi-occluded vocal tract exercises like you guys know what I'm talking about, but you might not. Essentially what it refers to is any kind of exercise that interferes with the airflow so that we get a little bit of back pressure going backwards. That in the most simplistic way of explaining that. But so yeah, so like straws, bubbles, tongue trills, any of that kind of stuff. We're going to need to start wrapping up. So a bit of a different warm up today. What I'm hoping this gives you is just a place to start your day from a perspective of appreciation of your voice, and also from a space of starting to bring awareness into your practice as much as possible. And by awareness, I don't mean judgment. I don't mean judgment because we tend to we're mean to ourselves, right? I don't mean judgment. I mean awareness. So how does this feel for me today? How can I make this feel better? How can I make this feel easier? Can I make it feel easier by perhaps releasing some tension? Can I make it feel easier by perhaps appreciating the things in my voice that I don't pay attention to? Yeah. And maybe that idea of a little bit of gratitude every now and then. Those of you who joined us a little bit later, we started the class with asking the question, what are 3 things I'm grateful for my voice? How can we bring more of that into our practice so that we can feel good about our voice? Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. We're going to finish up here. I hope that was useful. I hope that it's given you some space to question and experience things. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in.